So today's Cardinal lesson, we're going to show you how to buy an income, how to buy a pension. Pensions used to be prevalent and people would work a lot of years at the same company and then they'd retire and they'd get a check that's going to come in for life and half the check to their spouse. And those aren't too prevalent anymore. People have 401ks, IRAs, they have a big bucket of money. And frankly, they don't necessarily know how to turn that into an income. And we have solutions for that. We're going to talk about it today. And there's a bunch of gobbledygook on the board here. I'm going to explain why that is. But first, I want to go to Tom, and I want Tom to share with us, why are we doing this video today, Tom?
Yeah, we're doing this video because when you retire, income becomes important, right? You've lost your paycheck, you're no longer working, and you need to create an income out of the money you've saved. It amazes me how many people walk through these doors that are wealthy. They have plenty of savings, plenty of money, but when you listen to them, they sound like they're broke. They sound like they don't have anything to their name. And really the issue there is they don't have income coming in. And so like Hans mentioned, we really want to show you today how you can purchase an income, how you can buy an income with a portion of your assets, not all of it, but take some of it, get the income you need to live. And that just leads to a much more comfortable retirement and satisfying retirement. So let me pull up the show notes and then we'll get to the board. You can find these at the link below our video. They're also on our website at cardinalguide.com. We have the board, and then we have the different illustrations we're going to talk about in the video. So I don't want to spend a lot of time here because you'll understand more once we go through what's on the board. But when you have watched the video, if you want to go back and reference what we have here in the illustrations, you can find those in the show notes. So let me go back to Hans. We'll get going here, and then we'll finish up.
Okay, so the example that we're doing today is two people, age 64, they're turning 65. We meet a lot of our clients because they come to us about Medicare learning and getting Medicare insurance, retiring. That's a big draw in our agency. So we tend to do financial planning for a lot of people that are right at Medicare and then maybe a few years before. So that's the example. Two people, 65, turning 65, and the cost of purchasing this income would be a lot less if you're a single person. So you're going to pay less to buy an income for life because we only are covering, the insurance company's only covering one life. If there's two people, there's a chance that one of you is going to really live a long time. And that's what all these numbers are showing is on a couple. But just understand, we can run you numbers on a single person, they'll be less. So I want to push it back to Tom, and I want to talk about why do you need to watch this video? What's the attraction here? Why do people need to buy an income?
Again, when people retire, they have this pot of money and they don't know how to spend it, right? They don't have something coming in. They might have Social Security, and that's also why a lot of people start Social Security right when they retire, is they're looking at everything and they just want money coming in. And so they start it, which often isn't the best decision, but they start it soon. And so what these annuities can do is it's a way to take a portion of your money, turn it into essentially like a private pension, and have it coming to you every month, no matter what. It has no market risk, right? It's not fluctuating based off what the market's doing. We're filming this in April of 2025. We've just been through a pretty, volatile time in the market, and people are concerned about going and selling their investments at a loss, worrying about taxes if it's in a taxable account. So they don't want to touch it. And so what they end up sacrificing is their lifestyle. They end up spending less. They end up doing this. And so what the annuities can do is it produces a guaranteed income that does not matter what the market's doing. It's coming in each month. If you spend it, every penny of it, you got another one coming the next month, and you can count on that. And so again, we won't want to do it with all your money. There's downsides to it, obviously. Everything has advantages and disadvantages. But I could tell you story after story, people coming in, they're telling us with their words, they don't have a real desire to leave a bunch of money to their kids. But when I look at what they're doing, they're not spending any of it. And I said, well, why aren't you spending any of it? Well, I've just never spent any of it. I don't really know how to. This is a way to set it up. You can do so. And we'll get to the example on the board here, but there's a reason we do two of them sort of stacked next to each other as opposed to just buying one policy. And at the end of the day, it's just because it takes less money to get you the income. But as we go through the board, we will be able to illustrate that.
Okay, so I want to direct your attention. I want to cover up what's here and what's here, because what's here in the middle, these two sets of boxes, are what we use in a lot of situations to create a lifetime income. In this example, that's a $2,000 a month income for the life of two people who are now 64, turning 65. And if just one of them lives into their 90s, this is going to be one of the best decisions that they ever made to do this with part of their money. And even while they're in their 70s and 80s, where there's that possibility that one of them or both of them are going to live a long life, they can spend this $2,000 a month freely, with knowing that it's not ever going to run out or until they die. So that's beauty. And then when we go through it, the strategy involves two policies. And I can't tell you how many people have come to us, or during the presentation of this, they say, why do I have to have two policies? I kind of understand this one. And then all of a sudden, when I'm getting the hang of this one, you're over to this one. Why can't this just be one policy? And I'm going to give you the answer to that today in this video. We're going to give you the answer to that. And then why did we use 2000? I mean, we have examples of people that have bought 20,000 a month for life, and they used a few $1,000,000 to do that. But those aren't really relatable, to do that. Some people are going to need 4,000 a month. Some are going to need 8,000 a month. Some people aren't a couple. So we just used an amount of 2,000 because you can multiply it by 2, 3. You can cut it in half to show 1,000 a month. So we just want to give you the numbers for two people that are 65. If you're older than 65 and you're a couple, these numbers are going to be less. If you're younger than 65, the numbers are going to be more, but you might not need to buy this first policy, because the first policy is paying this couple the $2,000 a month for the first 5 years, or $24,000 a year for 5 years. And if you're 60 and you're not going to retire till you're 65, 68, 70, you can just buy this half of the equation with the income that you're going to need once you retire, and you can get the power of interest over interest working for you and delayed income starting. So I want you to ignore what's over here and ignore what's over here, and we're just going to show you this 2,000 a month. So 2,000 a month from the SPIA, which is a single premium immediate annuity. It's just like it says, a single premium. The single premium is 109,000. You're going to put it in here. It's going to pay 2,000 a month for 5 years, and then it's going to be over with. And it covers two people. And so if these two people, if both of them are gone during the first 5 years, then their heirs are going to get the rest of the 2,000s for the full 5 years. So if they both died in the third year in an accident or something, their kids or whoever their beneficiaries are going to get that 2,000 a month for the rest of the 5 years. This is just a plug to allow this deferred annuity, where you're going to put 222,000 in the deferred annuity, and you're going to let it sit there for 5 years at the insurance company growing. And then this couple is going to be 5 years older. Then we're going to start the 2,000 a month, and the 2,000 a month is then guaranteed till both of them are gone. So one of them dies in their 70s or early 80s. The other one lives into their 90s. It doesn't matter. The 2,000 a month just keeps coming in and coming in and coming in till the second one dies. So, and again, why two policies? Well, we're going to get to the alternative in a second. The total cost that you're going to stick into this thing is $331,000 if you put those two numbers together. Typically, we're doing this with IRA money, so we're getting a logical way to pull 2,000 a month out of the IRA that's not going to vary. And so we're going to transfer this amount out of there, out of the IRA or the 401k into these two annuities. Now, I mentioned earlier, if both die in the 5 years, the heirs are going to get the balance of the $2,000 a month. On the second annuity is when the second person dies, the beneficiaries receive the cash value. And now, if you really look at this thing, if in this situation both people died during the 5 years, this one is going to be worth more than 222,000. And if they die after the income starts, like into the 8th or 9th year, both of them were killed in an accident or something, there's still going to be a substantial amount of money left in this thing that's going to go to their heirs. So, and this also, this thing, this second annuity, the deferred annuity, has a long-term care enhancement. We're not going to go over that today, but the 2,000 a month, if either one of them need long-term care, can become 4,000 a month for 5 years for either of them using long-term care or needing trouble with the activities of daily living. So there's an extra benefit on that. But generally speaking, it's going to cost you $331,000 if you're this age to buy a $2,000 a month income for life, and that's going to be a 7.2% cash flow on your $331,000, and that's going to be just all guaranteed by an insurance company. So I want to put it to Tom, and I want Tom to talk about these options in the middle here, or this combination of two things.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's helpful to start with the end in mind. Like, what are we going for when we put something like this together? At the end of the day, what we're trying to solve for is an additional $2,000 a month of income for the rest of both of their lives, right? I mean, that ultimately is what this solves for. Now, how we get there, that's where we have the two policies. Again, the first one really allows us to delay the second one because that deferred annuity that pays out better the longer you wait to take it. And so by letting it sit there for the 5 years, we get a higher payout than we would if we took it earlier. So really the first one is there just to give us that delayed period to start the second one. And then we match these up where as soon as that first one stops, the second one picks up. So from what you get to see, like in your bank account, you just see 2,000 coming in starting, in a couple of months, whenever all this gets set up for the rest of both of your lives. So that's what the goal is here. Now, how we get there, again, having the two policies is a way to do this in a way that you're not giving up access to the full principal of the money, right? Because one of the things when people hear annuities, if you don't really understand this, you might know some things about them, but you don't really understand what's going on. One of the first things people say, well, do I lose access to that money? Am I giving it up? Essentially, do I give it to the insurance company and then I don't have it anymore? And that's not true, right? I mean, the second deferred annuity, that balance is there. It's still yours. If you die, that whole amount comes back to your kids as a death benefit. And so that's one of the reasons why we start with that. We have that second one there. The first annuity, the SPIA, the single premium immediate annuity, that one, the principal, for all intents and purposes, is gone, but the payments are going to continue for those 5 years no matter what. So if you were to die during those first 5 years, whoever your beneficiaries are, they would continue getting those payments, but the principle of it is gone. And that's why you might not want to do all of it in that first type. And so that's where we get to the two on the left side and the right side of the board. I'll let Hans go over that. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're setting up $2,000 a month for the rest of your life and not giving up access to the whole principle of your money in doing so.
Okay. So now to answer the question, why do I have to have two policies? Well, you don't have to have two policies. So either one of these two policies could provide you a monthly income for life. So we're going to go first to the SPIA. So we could just put all 331,000 in the SPIA, in the single premium immediate annuity, and that would produce 1,834 a month for both of your lifetimes. Okay. And so it's less money. And I could get into why that is. So it's like Tom and I have created this mix of the two because we can do better with the split at 5 years than we can just sticking it all in the SPIA. So that you get $160 some a month less for life. That's a lot of money over 2 lifetimes. Now, if you put the same 331 in there, if both of you die during the first 20 years under this arrangement, then your kids or your beneficiaries or whoever you name as the beneficiary, both of you are gone, are going to get the $1,834 a month for the rest of 20 years. Let's say you were both gone in the 12th year. So there would be 8 years of payments still paid to your beneficiaries. But so that's a further, so you'd get less money. Essentially, your money is gone because it's at the insurance company. You've now really bought an income. And then all there is, with both of you being gone in less than 20 years, there's a small residual payment to your kids. So that's not necessarily a really good scenario when you compare it to the one in the middle. Now, if we go over here and we say, okay, we could take the deferred annuity and we could put it all in there. We could put the whole 331,000 in there. Now we would get 1,684 a month instead of 2,000. So we'd get $316 a month less for life of two people. That's a lot of money. And so both of these options are what you're going to see, from a lot of people that just run an annuity illustration, either that one or this one. But let's evaluate this for a minute. Is if both of you died early, sometime in the early years, you're going to get more of the 331. The 331 plus interest minus what you've collected at 1,684 a month is going to go to your heirs. So I guess conceivably under this arrangement, your heirs could get a little more if you died in the first few years, but it's certainly not worth giving up $300 a month. And this one also has a long-term care enhancement, but you got that over here. And you also have the return on cash flow, or the cash flow percentage of your initial investment, is 6.1%. Here, 7.2% in the combination of the two, and 6.6% here. So I've belabored this point a little too long because most of you have not even looked at the two policies enough to get the question, but that's the answer to that, is we're going to put the two things together and we're going to get more out of it for either you or your heirs than we would going with only one of the types of annuities. And it's a little bit of arbitrage that Tom and I have created. And we're just using 5 years. It's somewhere between, let's say, 5 and 7 years, depending on ages. So sometimes we vary these a little bit, but this is a pretty good amount to go with. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I think, to Hans's point, right, if you've never seen any of this before, you're like, why are we going over these two versus one? But when we get down and we show these two to people and we haven't really discussed this, the first question is, why do I need two of these, right? This seems overly complicated. Why don't I just buy one? At the end of the day, our job is try to get you the most money, most income for the least amount of money going in, right? That's ultimately what we want to do. If we can create a higher income with using less principal, that means you get to keep more of the other money invested for other reasons, right? And so we sit down, we try to solve for typically when we're doing a part of a plan, is we have a known income that we're trying to solve for that fills in. It might be added to Social Security. If you do have a pension, it gets added to the pension. And then if you come in and you have those things, like we have plenty of clients, maybe they were federal employees or whatever the situation is, and their income is covered, then the annuities, they don't need them, right? This doesn't make sense for them. But more often than not, people come in, they have this money saved up, they don't have an income plan really how to do it. And the risk is they're going to underspend in retirement and not be able to do the stuff they want to do because they're fearful of what might happen, or they're fearful of market movements, or they're whatever reason it is, they're not spending any of it. This is a way to create $2,000 a month for the rest of both of your lives that you never have to worry about running out. And then you're set for, with that piece of it. And so I think it's a really useful strategy. It's right, when it makes sense for them, people love it once they understand it. Some people it's not needed for them. So really it's case by case of if it makes sense, but the annuities can be really a really useful tool to create an income that you don't have right now.
Okay, yeah, and like I said, we use $2,000 a month. We have an example of a man that paid between $3 and $4 million, closer to 3 than 4. He put it into this and this, and he's got $20,000 a month for his wife and him for the rest of both of their lives. That's $240,000 a year, plus their Social Security, which he has delayed. He has a net worth of over $10 million, and we have a lot of tax strategies going on with the rest and gifting strategies, estate planning. He intends to spend some of that other money, but what he really wanted to solve for is just that he has known income. And then after he dies, if he goes first, that his wife is just going to have this known income that's going to last as long as she does. These folks are going to have plenty of money. They didn't buy this thing out of need, partially out of need, but mostly out of just convenience, understanding, peace of mind, living a long time, managing money, because they certainly have enough other money on the sideline. These people are never going to be broke. So, with that, we talked a little bit today when comprehensive financial planning about Social Security. We haven't talked about Medicare. We've talked a little bit about long-term care. We talked about IRAs is generally where we're creating this income, or you're buying an income. You're doing it with IRA money. And it's been all about income. That's really the topic of today's thing, is buying an income, buying a pension with a bulk of money or part of a bulk of money. We've talked about estate planning and how this money passes, what's left to the heirs, and we've talked a little bit about taxes. So with that being said, I want to bring Tom back on. I'm Hans Scheil.
And I'm Tom Griffith.
And we thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.